You ever feel like you're not really in the driver's seat of your own mind? Like impulses and reactions are calling the shots? Well, get this. According to a figure known only as the architect, there's a hidden blueprint inside your brain, a specific biological tool that was literally designed for conscious control. Today, we're going to dive in and decode that blueprint.
All right, so here's the game plan. We'll start with the architect's big idea, then we'll meet the tiny neuron that makes it all possible. After that, we'll see how it all works together as a system, learn a practical reset you can start using today, and finally, figure out how to really master your impulses for good.
Okay, let's kick things off with the big one, the central idea from the architect. You are not designed to be a slave to your instincts. You are designed for mastery. And this is our guide, this enigmatic figure who says, forget self-help. Think of this as an engineering manual for your own mind. He's revealing a blueprint that's been there all along, just waiting to be read. And look, this isn't just about thinking positive or some kind of mindset hack. The architect's whole point is that your actual biology, your anatomy, contains the hardware for conscious choice. This is what literally sets us apart from animals that just run on instinct.
So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What is this piece of biological hardware that makes all this control possible? Well, it's time to meet the star of our show, the Rosehip Neuron.
And I want to be super clear here. This is not a metaphor. It's a real thing, a piece of your brain's wiring that was only discovered back in 2018. Its whole job? To be the brakes. It's an inhibitory neuron, which is a fancy way of saying it tells other brain signals to stop, giving you this incredible power of selective control. And here's where it gets really wild. This little guy, it seems to be pretty much unique to humans and our primate cousins. You won't find it in, say, a mouse. And that's a huge clue, right? It strongly suggests this neuron is a key part of the evolutionary upgrade that allows us to do all our complex, abstract thinking. And in real estate, it's all about location, location, location. And it's the same here. Its location is everything. Think of your brain like a skyscraper. The Rosehip neuron, well, it's got the penthouse suite. It sits up in layer 1, the highest level, right where all the raw data from the world comes in. It's in the perfect spot to control how that information gets turned into thought. Okay, so how can one tiny cell be such a big deal? How does it actually work like a master switch? Well, we can break down its function into 3 really powerful roles. It's a filter, a border guard, and a stabilizer. First up, think of it as the ultimate filter. I mean, your brain is just getting slammed with information, right? Constant noise. The Rosehip neuron is like a biological kill switch for all that static. It creates the mental quiet space you absolutely need for clear, strategic thinking. Second, it's your personal border guard. So there's this concept called the interface. Basically, the boundary between your inner world and everything happening outside. The Rosehip neuron stands at that border and checks IDs, deciding what information gets a passport. This is what keeps your whole system from crashing because of information overload. And role number 3, it's your stabilizer. You know when those alarm bells start going off from the ancient reptilian part of your brain? The Rosehip neuron can step in and say, nope, false alarm. It hits the brakes on those stress signals, keeping you in a state of cool, high-level processing instead of letting you drop into a full-blown panic. Okay, so that's the theory. Pretty cool, right? But how do we actually use this thing? This is where we get super practical. We're going to turn this knowledge into a repeatable tool, a little protocol the architect calls the Rosehip reset. So this is basically a 4-step manual override for your brain. Step 1, you've got to identify the trigger. You have to notice that racing heart or that clenched jaw. Step 2, engage the switch. Use a simple physical anchor, like just pressing your thumb to your finger. And in your mind's eye, see a frantic red light turn a calm, cool blue. Step 3, connect to your center. Shift your focus to your chest and just breathe. A nice deep breath, say 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And then, and only then, from that calm place, you hit step 4. You ask the big question. What action actually builds towards my goal? All right, so now you have a manual override switch. Awesome. But just like any high-performance system, it needs a little calibration now and then. So let's run a quick system diagnostic to troubleshoot and fine-tune your controls. According to the architect, your system usually glitches in one of 2 ways. First, there's error A, the leaking interface. This is when your brakes just completely fail. You get flooded with emotions, you blurt things out, you just react way too fast.
Then there's error B, the frozen nexus. This is the total opposite. The brakes lock up hard and you just freeze. You're paralyzed by overanalysis. So if you're someone who tends to have that leaking interface, here's a drill for you. It's called the 3-second gap. The second you feel that heat rising, that urge to just react, you lock your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Then you breathe, and as you do, you mentally say the words, I am here. It's so simple, but it creates just enough of a pause for those biological brakes to kick in, letting you check if a response is even necessary anymore. Now, what if you're the opposite? What if you're prone to freezing up? Well, you can't think your way out of that one. It's just not going to work. You have to move. This is the kinetic override. First, you shock the system. I mean, literally, just stand up or shake out your hands. Then focus by placing a hand over your heart and breathing. And finally, you have to create a tiny output, even just a nod or saying one moment, anything to tell the system it's safe to release the brakes. See, this is what it means to become an active, dynamic operator of your own mind. You start reading the system's error messages. Brakes failing and you feel like you're about to scream, that's protocol A. Brakes locked up and you're frozen solid, that's protocol B. You're just matching the right tool to the right problem. And really, this is the core of the architect's blueprint. This whole thing isn't about crushing your impulses or suppressing who you are, not at all. It's about having the precision tool that makes skillful navigation possible. I mean, think about it. Without brakes, you can't really drive a car. You can't steer, you can't navigate, you can only crash. The brake is what makes the whole journey possible. So in the end, this is so much more than just some fascinating neuroscience. It's an instruction manual. It's an invitation to pick up the tools that you already have, tools you were born with, and start deliberately building the reality you choose. The blueprint is in your hands. The only real question left is, are you ready to become the architect?